5 o'clock, and this is a special meeting of the SVUESD.
Okay. Tim?
Okay, I'd like to call the MAU board meeting to order. I'd like to go down the list of board members just so that we have a record of who is there and who is voting. Tim Holbrook here, Leon Johnson.
Yes.
Dave Fredrickson.
Yes.
Dave Durfee.
Yes.
Ed Letourneau.
Here.
Nelson Brownell. Jackie Kelly.
Here.
Fran Kinney. Amy Dotson.
Here.
Carrie Bond.
I saw
Did you
her
say
a
she
few
was
minutes
here,
ago.
Ed? I mean,
She,
Jim?
well, I did let her in. I don't, maybe her connection didn't stay.
It shows that she's connected. It's just that she's not showing a picture.
Maybe, are you unmuted, Carrie?
She's unmuted.
Ron Higgins? We have a quorum, so we can proceed.
Yep. Fran, can I just make a note? Fran is here. He was muted the 3 times he tried to say here.
I have him as being here, and I have Carrie too.
Okay, thank
very
you.
good.
Ron is there too.
Chairman Murphy, do you want to list who you have present?
Yes, certainly. Now
Or
that we're,
chairperson?
thank you. So I recognize we have Cindy Brownell, we have Dick France, we have Scott McEnany, and I believe we have Tammy Soul, who is calling in.
Correct.
And yourself. Okay.
And myself.
Renee or Dina, who's leading off here?
So which one would you like us to do? The union one first or the MAU one first?
Actually, Dina, can I do the budget, the MAU budget issue first?
Well, I was going to explain, so why don't we do the MAU one first?
Okay.
Can you put it up?
What document do you want? Because I actually have the tax impact that I wanted to update everybody on as well with the new yield.
Oh, okay. So why don't we put that up?
Okay.
So one of the things that I just want to, while Renee is doing that, while we were preparing what your warning was going to be, we recognized and realized that the amount that you had actually dealt with, I believe, last week. Oh, Carrie Bond is trying to get in. I apologize. Was a higher amount actually than what your specific to the Union School District for the high school and middle school, what your budget will be. And Renee can run through for you all the homestead tax rate calculation to explain this.
Right. And I think Jackie may have actually questioned me on this. And had I looked at the warning ahead of time, I would have caught this. But when we approved the full budget amount for Mount Anthony last week, we should have approved the amount without SVRTSD, the Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District, because that budget is voted on separately. However, on our ballot article, we actually have to factor the amount in our ed spending per equalized pupil. So it's just a little complicated, but you ended up approving the budget at the $28.5 million figure. And what we are actually going to be warning for the voters to approve is $25,952,726. So we just need to amend that from last week, and then I can jump in.
Very good. I'll ask for the amendment for that. In other words, what we are responsible for is the tuition for our students going to the CDC. So I need a motion to approve the bottom line of $25,952,726. Do we have a motion to that?
I'll move it.
We have a second.
Yep, Leon.
Very good. Any further discussions or clarifications so that we understand it? We did bring that up at our regular meeting, so I'm glad that we got that clarified. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Very good. Now you want to go into the yield, please, Renee? Have we lost Renee or have you lost
Well,
me?
I'm
or-
here. Sorry, I had muted. What I have up on the screen now is just an update of what we have been looking at over the past several weeks. The legislature, the House Ways and Means Committee yesterday or the day before, I believe, has approved an increase to the property yield. So initially,
Wow.
the tax commissioner had put it out at much lower than what it was for the current year. We thought maybe the 10,998 would be safe, but then it actually came in at $11,385. So if you just take a quick look down at the bottom line, 14 increase or decrease compared to FY21, all of the municipalities that are part of the Union School District are going to be looking at pretty substantial decreases in their tax rates compared to this year. And North Bennington set their budget last night, and unfortunately they're in a little bit of a situation where they're in the excess spending penalty. So there's a small increase to cover that. So even with the yield, they are looking at increases in North Bennington and the Shaftesbury ID district. Shaftesbury and Shaftesbury ID had pretty significant drops in their CLA this year, which is really contributing to moving that number up as much as it is. But definitely some good news from the legislature and helping keep the tax rates down, because the ed fund prospect is looking much better than they had initially anticipated.
Renee, is that figure definite, but it still can be changed, can it, until all these budgets passed and the legislature views what the cost?
Well, we got a very
organization-
good answer on that. We got a very good answer on that from Dave Durfee today. If you want to repeat what you said in my email, your email to me, Dave?
Yeah, sure. The short answer, Tim, is it's not final, and it never is. You know, at this
Right.
point, and it has to wait until all the districts across the state have approved their budgets before any numbers locked in. Historically, I think if anything, the tax rates seem to go down because districts end up spending a little bit less than they had been expected to historically. That doesn't mean it'll be that way this year. But anyway, short answer is no, it's not final, but it's a much more up-to-date projection than the numbers that Renee was given to work with and that we were all working with up until last week anyway.
Thank you very much. We can go on now.
So Renee, can you put up the warning, please, for MAU?
That's the informational meeting, so the warnings here.
Okay. So one of the things and this pertains to both boards that are here, this year, because of Act 48 and because of the fact that you're going to be doing solely Australian balloting, your warning is set out that way. You cannot do a meeting by Zoom to have votes occur at that meeting. You can absolutely do and strongly encourage, and the notice we're providing is to do an informational meeting by Zoom for both of the boards. But you cannot do a floor meeting with a vote. So your warning that this year lays out what is going to be on your ballots. And the first thing I just want to point out, you will be discussing in your informational meeting your the area where you typically talk about reports, your director reports, your superintendent report, your treasurer report, and all of that. This is the agenda for your informational meeting. So you'll be hearing the reports of the school district board of directors. And then we've laid out just for your agenda, the articles which will be discussed as you all know, when you're voting for an open position, you do not have a discussion about that if you're doing it by Australian ballots, so you won't see that on there. So what you'll see on your informational meeting notice is at the top, it says the date, where it's going to be, remotely, what the time is, how people can also contact the SVSU to get in call-in numbers to access by phone. So that's your informational meeting notice and agenda. And this is also for the Union Elementary School. You have a couple more questions on your Union Elementary School warning that don't exist, that aren't in the ones for MAU, specifically regarding Article 10, which is you're asking to establish a reserve fund. And I believe there's an Article 6 where you're asking for authorization to transfer and expend funds as necessary from an established and audited capital reserve fund. So those are outlined. You're going to have a conversation about them. I noticed that I think the Union Elementary informational meeting is at 6:15. Is that?
We're gonna open the meeting at 6:15, which will be Mount Anthony.
I'm sorry, Mount Anthony is at 6:15, and then Union Elementary has been warned for 6:45. I suspect Mount Anthony that you're not going to have a lot of discussion. I think there are 2 articles you have to talk about on yours, in addition to your reports.
I don't think it'll be a long meeting at all. Just as we're going into this, Dina, will the general topics use the same guidelines as we use for public comments at a regular meeting, or will this be different?
It would be the same general things. It's the same general public comment. So I don't expect that you should have lengthy conversation about whether or not you're going to get permission to do a tax anticipation note or borrowing, for your revenue. Your budget obviously may be the one that has more people talking about it, as budgets always do, even when they're small budgets or large budgets, it doesn't matter. But yes, public comment is done the same way you do it in every meeting.
Very good.
So we're asking you tonight to not only approve your warning, but also to approve your notice and agenda for your informational meetings. So from Mount Anthony, we'll go with the easier one first, the warning, because they have less on it. You are asking to set annual salaries for these district office positions. You're asking to be authorized to borrow money in anticipation of tax revenues. You also are going to have, you have open slots on your board, positions that are coming up. And so we're going to have that balloting, and also on your budget. One of the things that we did add, can you scroll down a little bit? I added this first paragraph you see after the date, which talks about in-person voting being available. However, that the board encourages the use of absentee balloting in order to reduce in-person contact and maintain social distancing within the town offices. Renee has been working with Cassie and coordinating with her, and she did see this today, and I'm assuming she was perfectly fine with the idea of you can also online request a ballot.
She is. I mean, we're just, still struggling with the North Bennington confusion issue that we just want to make sure everybody's clear on.
Right. So for MAU, the North Bennington, there's going to be, and I want to be very clear about this, especially since Cat TV is here. North Bennington their local budget, so their local ballot, which deals with their budget for their North Bennington graded school district. So it deals with their budget. It deals with those issues that are particular to North Bennington graded school district is going to be mailed out to people who are on their voter checklist. We've had meetings with Cassie and also with the board chair of North Bennington to explain the Mount Anthony budget and ballot that we're discussing in this morning, that will come out of this morning, is not going to be mailed to the residents of North Bennington. Because as a Union High School district, you all have to do it the same way. It's an issue of fairness and equity for all of the voters within your member towns. And so we very clearly want the people in North Bennington to understand that they are not getting this ballot from MAU mailed to them, and that they have to either request it from your clerk, or they can request it from, I believe, online. We're going to try and make that as clear as possible. And they can request it as an absentee ballot to be sent to them, or they can do in-person voting in North Bennington. Obviously, because of COVID, we would hope that more people would request absentee ballots and be able to process them that way. But that is a little bit of a difference for the implications for the citizens of North Bennington, that they need to understand that the MAU ballot is not going to be mailed to them. And I want to make that very clear, especially since Cat TV is here. And we're going to try and publicize as best we can so people know that. As board members, if you get questions, obviously we want you to have the correct information so you can inform people about that as well. I think when we also, I had indicated to Jim and Renee, even for your own specific ballot that's going to be happening, your own vote that's happening, that you should be doing some informational put out on Front Porch Forum in your member towns. I think that we're going to try and do some of that. It's going to be on the SVSU website. We're going to try and be very clear with that, because obviously participation by all of your member towns is important, and we want people to understand that. Are there any questions about that with MAU?
Jackie Kelly's had her hand up.
Okay.
I attended a meeting as a justice of the peace, and I believe all voting will take place in Bennington Firehouse, not at North Bennington.
I think that North Bennington, we were informed yesterday. I don't know if it changed, Jackie. And
Oh no, this was 2 weeks ago. So
okay, so my understanding yesterday was that in the North Bennington Village offices, that people would be permitted to drop off their ballots there.
I understand that, but they can't vote there. I mean, they can drop off, but they can't vote. In-person voting.
Not for you're saying for MAU.
Correct.
Right. They have their own local vote though that they do. So even if you all had chosen as boards to mail out ballots to every single person listed on your voter checklist, you still need to have polling places open. So my understanding was that the North Bennington Village office was considered a polling place, at least for their specific North Bennington graded school district But if that's not the case, we'll have to get clarity from Cassie and everyone else and make sure that we're very clear about what we put out. to people.
I would get more clarity.
Yeah,
We've
we're
had
gonna
them,
need to get that.
yeah, I mean, we've had them confirm. I mean, North Bennington approved their meeting warning and, well, their meeting notice and warning last night, and it does say that the polls will be open from 7 to 7 at the village office.
Jackie, Diener had explained to, when we met with Ray Melino, that, because originally North Bennington was not going to have any physical voting, but as Diener just explained, that option wasn't available to them because they're part of the MAU. So I believe they are, but we'll double check. But I believe from the meeting I was at last night, they are going to make accommodations for physical in-place voting.
Renee, I just have one question. Will we still have a moderator for our annual meeting, or will the chair do that?
Oh, I can actually answer that, Tim. Your moderator is still serving their term, so you will have a moderator for your informational meeting. You can have a moderator for it, or you can do it by the chair. I mean, you're not doing a floor meeting. And when I say floor meeting, meaning, you know, your typical Vermont floor meeting where articles come up and you vote. But your moderator still is within their term.
Okay, but the informational meeting that we have can be run by the chair or by the moderator, either one, for the informational meeting. Very good.
Yes.
And just to clarify it, the voters will have an opportunity either to vote for the school budget by an absentee ballot, or the polls will be open and they can vote at that time.
Right. They can either, you have to have a physical poll open, and each of your towns will have a physical poll open to vote. You can vote in person. Strongly, you know, the strong advice is that if you can, to request an absentee ballot, which would get mailed to you by your clerk. And then as a voter, you complete it and you make sure that you get it mailed back, or you drop it off to your clerk, or if it's the day of the election at the polling place. You do have to request an absentee ballot.
So just for those people that are listening, if you do want an absentee ballot in terms of Pownell or whatever, you would call your town clerk and ask for that absentee ballot to be mailed to you. It will not be mailed to you unless you call your town clerk and request that. And that ballot will get to you by, I don't know, 1st of March or something.
Christmas?
Is it, am I right there, Dina?
Yeah, so we need to, there are timelines for when we need to have our ballots prepared and in, and we're going to do them as fast as we can and within the timelines of doing it. But yes, people should request it. They have to get it before the vote. And as I said, it can be returned if it is the day. If it is March 2nd, it would get returned to your polling place. Otherwise, it has to, by 5 o'clock the night before on March 1st, it would be returned to your town clerk.
Just, I don't want to belabor this point, but I know the town office in Pownell is not open. In other words, the door is locked and you're told not to come in. There will be an appropriate place to drop off those ballots at the different town offices.
Tim, I can't confirm what the Pownell clerk is doing. I haven't spoken to her. Renee, do they do a drop box, or is it that you have to make sure that you're there on February 28th?
I'm not sure how Pownell's going to do it, but I do know that the polls will be open on the 2nd from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. All the other towns are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So Pownell's the only one that's open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And this is in the warning, so that'll be posted and publicized as well. But it's the Pownell Center Firehouse as usual.
My question is this: dropping off the absentee ballot, if the town office is not open, will arrangements be made so that you can drop that absentee ballot off before, obviously, the voting day is?
Well, I don't think we have that answer yet, Tim, but we're going to
Okay.
have to, we'll reach out to the clerk. I'm assuming that just like in the election in November, there will be drop boxes for ballots, but we'll have to
Okay.
confirm that. And in what Dina had already mentioned, we're going to repeatedly put that information out there in the best way we can once we know where it is. But you brought up a point that wasn't originally there for us, for where the ballot drop-off boxes are. So
Thank you.
we can make sure as we disseminate information that we include that once we
Thank you.
confirm.
Thank you.
Dick, did you have a question? I noticed you had your hand up earlier.
Well, just I'm the moderator for Woodford. Woodford has decided to have a normal a town meeting as Woodford ever has. There's not usually a lot of people, and they always drum into the school budget. So there's no conflict if I'm explaining that or answering questions, even though this is put out as a Zoom meeting. Woodford will not be, many people in Woodford can't get connected, so they're going to have an in-person meeting according to the last communication I have, and I'm a moderator. So
You're the town moderator, Dick?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just so there's clarity, there is a difference between the town, and you know this, but there's a difference between your town meeting and the union and what the union district is doing. If there are questions in a town meeting about the MAU budget, I would hazard to very politely say I'm not sure that that's relevant to the town meeting, but I will let you as the moderator deal with that issue. For people in Woodford, I would, and where there is not great internet connectivity, I would again point out that there will be call-in numbers, and we will in fact make sure that as part of our blast out to people of information that call-in numbers will be provided so that people have that ability to do it, to participate.
Just because hopefully don't let me interrupt you, Dick.
No, I just want to say I would defer on Mount Anthony issues anyway, and if call-in numbers are available, then I can give out that information.
Yep, so we'll make sure we get that to you, Dick, so that you have that ability as well.
Yeah. The number is already part of the Zoom link that's already been created, and it's going on the postcard, and it'll be on everything there. So that number is there, but when I created the Zoom link for the meeting, that was already generated.
I just want to mention one thing, that Pownell will have a virtual meeting, will not have a town meeting, and that is already in the works. It'll take place. I too am the moderator, and we'll be running that Zoom meeting.
Okay. So for the Mount Anthony board, what we're asking is that you approve both the notice and agenda for your informational meeting on March 1st as it's drafted, and Renee can put that up if you need to see it again, as well as approve your warning for your annual meeting by Australian ballot on March 2nd, which is that's the elementary school one.
Very good. Do I have a motion from a board member from MAU to approve the meeting warning? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Very good. So we can move on then, Dina.
Okay, so Renee, can you put up the Union Elementary warning, please? So that I can go over it quickly with that board. You as well, as I indicated, you're going to be doing Australian ballot on Tuesday, March 2nd. You are establishing a moderator salary. You're establishing your district. You're asking to establish your district clerk, your stipends as well, and the salary that you pay for a school district treasurer. That's Article 1 through 4. Article 5 is your asking the voters to authorize that you can borrow money in anticipation of tax revenues to meet the current operating expenses of your district during the 2021-2022 school year. Article 6 is to authorize that the school board of directors can transfer and expend funds as necessary. And there's a typo. It should be from the established and audited capital reserve fund. And I apologize, clearly spell check recognizes the word form. You are also going to be having district office elections for a moderator for a term of 3 years, which will begin on July 1st, 2021, which means your current moderator will continue until then. Your school district clerk, you're going to be holding an election as well for a term for 3 years. Your current school district clerk will continue until July 1st, 2021. The same with your treasurer. You also have 4 board positions, which you will be having an election for. One is for the town of Bennington rep. One is for a 3-year town of Shaftesbury rep. And you also are going to have one for the town of Shaftesbury for a 1 year to fill an unexpired term. And then also Woodford will be voting for there'll be a vote for a rep from Woodford for the 3-year term. You do your voting at large, which means your whole district votes on those positions. You are also asking that the voters approve a budget in the amount of $24,383,351. And we've laid out what the per equalized pupil rate is, and that the projected spending is 0.63% lower than for the current year. Your Article 10 is that you are asking to establish a reserve fund to be funded at the end of each fiscal year from your accumulated fund balance, if there is any, whose purpose shall be to pay future district operating expenses or to fund in whole or in part future capital improvements, or both, as determined by the school directors. And I think, Renee, is that it? If we scroll down. Again, I did put that paragraph in, which talks about that we are strongly asking people to request absentee ballots. And the information about where each person, based upon their town of residence, would be voting is laid out here as well. I don't know if there are any questions about your warning.
Do any of the Unified Elementary School District folks have questions for Dina or for Director Gordon?
No.
Not.
I do not.
Very good. So hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the warning as reviewed.
So moved.
I have a first from Dick and a second from Scott. Any further discussion on approving the warning as outlined? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the warning as outlined, please signify by raising your hand and or saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and so then it's just, we would also ask if you'd like to have it put back up, but you do also have a notice and an agenda for your informational meeting, which is also on March 1st.
Yep. Director Gordon, could you just pull that back up again, please?
It helps when I click the share button and not just look at it myself. Sorry about that.
So board members, we had a very nicely detailed explanation of this, of what's in our annual meeting notice, but are there any lingering questions regarding the Unified Elementary School District's annual meeting notice.
I won't be able to attend that, Chris.
Yep, Dick. Yep, we know you have your duties in Woodford. That's fine. All right, so hearing no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the annual meeting notice as posted here.
So move.
Second.
Second.
I hear a first from Dick and a second from Cindy. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the annual meeting notice, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? I'm sorry, any in opposition? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. That's what we needed to talk to you about. We appreciate your time, and I hope you all have great informational meetings and that your budgets all pass.
So
Motion
just
to adjourn.
to let you know what I'm going to do, folks, I'll fix the typo on these for the SVUESD. I'm going to put them all into DocuSign this evening. And our clerk has asked if she can have these back like as soon as possible tomorrow morning. So I don't know if it's possible for folks to get into their email this evening or first thing tomorrow morning to DocuSign this. And then once we have it set, we can get it off to the clerk so she can get it filed and posted in the morning tomorrow.
Renee, just a point of information, given the fact that we have only 5 members of the Unified Elementary School District present tonight, do we need all of the members to DocuSign those 2 documents, or do the members present suffice?
The members present, which are a quorum, they do it. You cannot, in fact, have your members who are not here to sign it.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that clarity.
Mhm.
Yep, thank you.
Be safe.
Yep, and
So if
please
there's
note-
nothing else for the union, sorry, Dina, please.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, just to put the impetus on what Renee is saying, is that this needs to be posted by Sunday. That so clearly tomorrow being the last day in the work week, it is very important that you all log on. And if you have issues doing that, please reach out to Renee as soon as possible to get this so we can get it posted.
I will have it out to everybody by 6 p.m. tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
And if you have trouble,
anything else?
if you have trouble signing it, if you've never done a DocuSign before, you could let me know or Renee know, and we can help to walk you through it.
So if there's nothing else for the Union Elementary School District, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Thank you, Cindy. Any further discussion on adjourning? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the SVUESD is adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll ask for a motion from MAU to close,
So move.
to adjourn. We have a second?
second.
So
also?
I'm just writing that. Leon made the motion, and who seconded it? Fran?
Fran.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed or abstentions? It carries. We're adjourned.
And Richard did join us midway
you.
through.
Oh, I